The King of Bahrain visits the Kingdom of Jordan. The Duchess of Edinburgh visits Somerset. And King Felipe VI and Queen Letizia of Spain begin their state visit to the Kingdom of the Netherlands. All this and much more coming up next on your Royal Daily News. Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you're doing well. My name is Alexandra, and welcome to your Royal Daily News for Wednesday, April 17th, 2024. In Amsterdam, Their Majesties, King Felipe VI and Queen Letizia of Spain began their two-day state visit to the Kingdom of the Netherlands at the invitation of Their Majesties, King Willem-Alexander and Queen Maxima of the Netherlands. According to RVD, quote, "The Netherlands and Spain have a shared history and are connected by shared values and interests. The countries have had diplomatic relations since 1648, and the historical bond between the two countries goes back even further. Within Europe, the Netherlands and Spain have been connected for centuries on a political, economic, cultural, and social level. Political cooperation with Spain has intensified in recent years. Both countries work together on issues such as open strategic autonomy and organized crime. Economic ties are also close." End quote. The state visit began with a traditional welcoming ceremony on the Dam Square, which included the playing of the national anthems of Spain and the Netherlands. This was followed by King Felipe VI and King Willem-Alexander inspecting the guards of honor. Then, Their Majesties arrived at the Royal Palace of Amsterdam, signed the Book of Honor, and held a receiving line in which ministers of the Dutch and Spanish governments, including the Secretary of State for Commerce, Ms. Siana Mendez, the President of the Spanish Chamber of Commerce, Mr. José Luis Bonet, and the President of the Spanish Confederation of Business Organizations, Mr. Antonio Garamendi, were presented. Thereafter, a reception was held at the palace in honor of the King and Queen of Spain. In the mid-morning, King Felipe VI and Queen Letizia of Spain walked to the National Monument in Dam Square, where a wreath was placed in front of the monument before the bugle call and the mandatory minute of silence. In the afternoon, King Felipe VI and King Willem-Alexander attended a sports event organized by the Cruyff Foundation, as well as visited the Port of Amsterdam and the terminals of Evos and Sunoco. According to RVD, Their Majesties, quote, "spoke with Dutch and Spanish companies about the development of a maritime green hydrogen corridor between the Port of Bilbao and the Port of Amsterdam." End quote. In the evening, Their Majesties, King Willem-Alexander and Queen Maxima of the Netherlands, hosted a lavish, glittering gala state banquet at the Royal Palace of Amsterdam. In the evening, Their Majesties, King Willem-Alexander and Queen Maxima of the Netherlands, hosted a lavish, glittering gala state banquet at the Royal Palace of Amsterdam. Guests attending the gala included members of the Dutch government, ministers from Their Majesty's Spanish delegation, distinguished guests, Her Royal Highness Princess Beatrix of the Netherlands, Her Royal Highness Princess Margriet of the Netherlands, and Her Royal Highness Princess Catharina Amalia, Princess of Oranje, wearing the Grand Cruz de la Orden de Isabel la Católica. As I mentioned in last Wednesday's episode, His Majesty, King Felipe VI of Spain, by Royal Decree No. 374/2024, bestowed the order on April 9th, 2024, to the Princess for his, quote, "proof of my royal appreciation to Her Royal Highness Princess Catharina Amalia of the Netherlands." End quote. The order was established by King Ferdinand VII on March 14, 1815, with the name of Real Orden Americana de Isabel la Católica. Today, the order is governed by Royal Decree No. 2395/1998 of November 6, which approves the regulations of the Orden de Isabel la Católica. The order is presented to individuals for their, quote, "extraordinary behaviors of a civil nature, carried out by Spanish people and foreign, that benefit the nation or that contribute, in a relevant way, to favoring relations of friendship and cooperation of the Spanish nation with the rest of the international community." End quote. Meanwhile, 130 miles south of Amsterdam, Their Royal Highnesses Grand Duke Henri and Grand Duchess Maria Theresa of Luxembourg continued their 3-day state visit to the Kingdom of Belgium at the invitation of Their Majesties King Philippe and Queen Mathilde of the Belgians. This morning in Brussels, His Majesty King Philippe of the Belgians and His Royal Highness Grand Duke Henri of Luxembourg attended the opening of the economic forum entitled Thriving Connections, Belgian-Luxembourg Economic Relations, held at Palais d'Egmont. During the forum, the King and the Grand Duke met with several Belgian and Luxembourg business leaders who jointly presented their cooperation projects. Across town, Her Majesty Queen Mathilde of the Belgians and Her Royal Highness Grand Duchess Maria Theresa of Luxembourg arrived at the Palais des Beaux-Arts to view the exhibition entitled History of Not Laughing, Surrealism in Belgium. In a press release, it notes that the exhibition marks the 100th anniversary of Surrealism, the, quote, poetic and artistic movement of the 20th century that grew out of the revolt embodied by the Dada movement at the end of the First World War, end quote. Prior to noon, Their Majesties and the Grand Ducal couple, along with a ministerial and business delegation from the Grand Duchy, arrived in the city of Ghent to attend a luncheon at Provincial House hosted by the Governor of East Flanders and the Mayor of Ghent. At 2, Their Majesties, the Grand Ducal couple and the Deputy Prime Minister of the Grand Duchy of Luxembourg, Mr. Xavier Bettel, visited the St. Bavo's Cathedral, where they were given a guided tour by the Bishop of Ghent, Monsignor Loda van Hecke. During the visit, they viewed the painting entitled Adoration of the Mystic Lamb. The painting, which dates between the years 1420 and 1432, was created by brothers Jan and Hubert van Eyck. According to the Cour Grand Ducal, the painting is in the, quote, third phase of its restoration. It is considered to be the pinnacle of 15th century Flemish painting, end quote. In the late afternoon, while the rest of the royal party returned to Brussels, the Grand Duke held a meeting with representatives from the dredging company Jan de Nul Group. In the evening, the Grand Ducal couple hosted a return concert by the Luxembourg Philharmonic Orchestra, followed by a cocktail reception at the Flagey in honor of Their Majesties as a way to say thank you for being such gracious hosts. This morning, Her Royal Highness, the Duchess of Edinburgh, carried out several engagements in Somerset. The day began in Shepton Mallet, with the Duchess as patron of the Association of Show and Agricultural Organizations attending the 2024 Field to Food Learning Day. This was followed by a visit to Hazel Manor and the Yeo Valley Organic Garden in North Somerset, where the Duchess, quote, discovered projects which are opening up in the countryside. She also learned about sustainable farming and gardening practices, end quote. On Tuesday evening in Skien, Her Royal Highness Crown Princess Mette-Marit of Norway attended the World Para Ice Hockey BWC match between Norway and the United Kingdom held at the Skien Leisure Park. So, who won the match? Norway, 18-0. According to the Royal Court of Norway, with last evening's win, Norway is one step closer to the AWC in 2025, where they are fighting for the qualification for the Paralympics in 2026. After the match, the Crown Princess presented medals to both teams. Congratulations. On Tuesday, His Royal Highness Crown Prince Haakon of Norway, accompanied by the Norwegian Minister for Business, the Minister for Digitization and Administration, and a large Norwegian business delegation, continued their 4-day official visit to Northern California and Seattle, Washington. According to the Royal Court of Norway, the purpose of the visit is to promote business cooperation with companies in Northern California and Washington State within the green transition and digitalization. The day began at the Crown Prince's alma mater, UC Berkeley. The Crown Prince graduated from Berkeley in 1999 with a BA in political science. During his first semester at the famous university, he lived at International House, but eventually he moved off campus and rented a house along with several of his friends. While on campus today, the Crown Prince met with representatives from UC Berkeley, professors, and Norwegian students. The purpose of the Crown Prince visiting UC Berkeley was to give the opening speech during the seminar entitled AI and the Future of Work. Before the Crown Prince began his speech, he said it was, quote, "fantastic to be back at Berkeley, where I spent 3 important years of my life. I installed my first modem and got an email address. It was a great privilege to study here at one of the world's leading universities, and I feel something of the same atmosphere here today." End quote. In the afternoon, the Crown Prince, accompanied by the Norwegian Minister of Industry and Trade, Mr. Jan Christian Vestre, and the Governor of California, Gavin Newsom, visited San Quentin. Upon their arrival, the Crown Prince, the Minister, and the Governor were warmly welcomed by the Mayor of Sacramento, the Wardens of San Quentin, and inmate representatives. Thereafter, the Crown Prince was given a tour of the prison grounds. So why is the Crown Prince visiting one of the most notorious prisons in the United States? Well, Governor Newsom wants to, quote, "change the prison system by introducing a rehabilitation program in the prisons, as well as by improving conditions for the inmates." His inspiration was taken from the Norwegian penitentiary system. Representatives from San Quentin have been on several study visits to Norway, and the Norwegian Correctional Service has so far trained several hundred of its American colleagues in Norwegian methods. End quote. So after a fun-filled day at San Quentin, the Crown Prince witnessed the signing of a Memorandum of Understanding and a cooperation agreement between California and Norway. The day ended with a visit to NVIDIA in Santa Clara, California. NVIDIA is a leading company in AI technology. During the visit, the Crown Prince held a meeting with the founder and CEO of NVIDIA, Jensen Huang. The purpose of the meeting was, among other things, to hear about the company's perspective on the development of artificial intelligence. In Stockholm, His Majesty King Carl Gustaf of Sweden and Her Royal Highness Crown Princess Victoria of Sweden presided over an Information Council meeting at the Royal Palace. According to the Royal Court of Sweden, Information Councils are held on a regular basis and chaired by the King. Per the 1974 form of government, the Prime Minister is responsible for keeping the sovereign informed about the kingdom's affairs. Formally, it is the King who calls the government into council, but the decision is made in consultation with the Prime Minister. During the council, the ministers present information about political initiatives, investigations, and ongoing legislation within their respective ministries and answer questions. And finally, this morning, His Majesty King Hamad bin Isa Al Khalifa Bahrain, accompanied by His Highness Sheikh Nasser bin Hamad Al Khalifa Bahrain, arrived in Aqaba to hold a meeting with His Majesty King Abdullah II of Jordan and His Royal Highness Crown Prince Al Hussein bin Abdullah II of Jordan. During the meeting, the two kings discussed ways of enhancing cooperation and economic integration between the two kingdoms, as well as regional and international issues of mutual concern. The two kings also discussed the political and security situation in the Middle East, emphasizing the, quote, urgent need for the international community, particularly the Security Council, to implement resolutions regarding achieving a ceasefire in Gaza, end quote. And there you have it. Thank you all so much for joining me this afternoon. I really do appreciate it. Thank you. I will be back tomorrow on Thursday, April 18th, with all the latest royal news and events. Until then, I sincerely wish each and every one of you a wonderful afternoon. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe, comment below, and hit that notification bell so you won't miss a new episode. Okay, again, have a wonderful afternoon, everyone, and I will see you all tomorrow. Take care.